Hello everyone, I'm PewDiePie, and today I'll be telling you how rock crystals work in the newest versions of Astral Sorcery. To first understand how to min-max crystals, you're going to need to figure out how to make starlight. So the starlight is from a bucket, you place it down, and you throw crystals into it, and that's how you make crystals into good crystals. Now, you get starlight from crystals, but how do you know what crystals to use for starlight? Well, it's simply how many attributes they have multiplied by their base stats. So, rock crystals on their own give you 0.12 production value for each level of stat, and a shadow resist of 3.5 every level of stat, meaning the rock crystal with the max values a rock crystal can have at 8 would give you roughly 28 shadow resist and I would say 96 production value. 0.96. That is a very large number, and it is not actually the best, because you can attune the rock crystal and get an extra multiplier, which is just an extra 0.2 for production, 0.2 for production, and 1.5 for shadow resist for each level, which is much better, and I always recommend attuning your rock crystals as soon as you can. Of course, as soon as you can is as soon as you get the attunement altar. The attunement altar can create, or it requires star metal. Star metal requires iron ore, which requires a linking wand, which requires a rock crystal, and of course the second tier crafter. And once you craft the star metal, you can turn that into stardust by just throwing it on the ground, hitting it with a certain star metal chisel you can craft at the second tier altar. For single star metal, you put this dust, you slap it down with some starlight, and any old rock crystal, and you get a celestial crystal cluster being grown, and you just have to put this to an open sky next to, or underneath some star metal ore, or with star metal ore underneath, and then over that will be the cluster, and you have any crystal linked to it. All right, got that? That's how you make it. You should know this by now. What you might not know is that the size actually matters for the crystal output. I know, shocking, shocking, but you can prematurely pull out crystals and they will have lower stats. So if you need just a celestial crystal and you want to grow more and attune them for stats, you can just meld your old rock crystals with a large size celestial crystal. Well, you can meld fragments of rock crystals to a large size celestial crystal, and eventually you'll have a big enough crystal to where it's actually more productive to merge than to not merge. That's how you begin the process. So if you do that and you make the biggest celestial crystals you can first, you get an 18 multiplier, which is 50% better than their basic rock crystal, and a 4 times multiplier, which is just slightly better. And if you attune that from there, you get the highest multiplier for any crystal, which is 2 times the amount of stats, and you get 8 times the total. That is half of the shadow multiplier for a resonating gem, just for having 2 levels and attuning it to any constellation. That is superbly powerful. If you take a large size celestial crystal at the maximum amount of stats, which is 10, and 8, I don't think I've mentioned that yet. you can get vast amounts of starlight very quickly. So here come the big numbers. What do the stats mean? These stats are all, what would I call them? Garbage. It has a ritual effect and a focus, but it has shape. Shape is only useful for ritual effect, but is the lowest quality effect, meaning you would want to prioritize that last and want to get the better ones earlier so they don't have a chance of, so they don't accidentally melt away in the combining process, because the combining process is complex. Every time you get a crystal, imagine this is a tier 1 crystal, and you put a trait on it. The trait takes up a slot that it could give you. It reduces the requirement or threshold for a random value to pass or be under. If the random number that's pulled is under the amount, under the chance that there is not going to be infusion or fusion, then it will fuse together and take up another slot and reduce the value further there. And once there's no slots left, there is no way to combine extra stats. But if you were to somehow do it, then I commend you. And good luck, it doesn't get easier from there if you have a max level crystal. Because a crystal in a setup, if you give extra starlight to it, buy a collector crystal, it will crack off, and the shards will have to be attached back to the crystal, which it's just annoying. And if you have too many different stats and you want to keep a certain stat really high, you'll already have a slot consumed, and the chance will be very low to get a 100% consistent repair. You'll almost never, have a crystal that stays in the perfect condition, which is sad. So, the stats. You have to have different stats for whatever you want, and each stat affects each purpose a little different. So, there is a thread on Reddit discussing what these numbers mean and how they multiply. I have compiled that information into a Desmos document, I guess, to where you can just put the numbers of a crystal you want to test in, and it will get you the results out. You can easily make the crystal you want because it's just 3 numbers. You can easily get the tool you want because it's just 4 numbers. But worrying about min-maxing for these is very hard. So, whoops. I accidentally went to spectator. For collection crystals, you want to get purity, focus, shape, and either collection rate or size. And this is where the math gets hard. When you multiply each of the stats, you don't just give 20% to the total. So imagine there is 5 different categories, and each of the categories start at 1, meaning there's no stat there. You multiply all these categories together, and the result is 1 for now. If you have a 20% increase, that would be, or 0.2, that would be 1.2, because it's a 20% increase to a number which everything is multiplied by. If you were to do that again and add another level, it adds another 0.2 to this stat, which means it doesn't get multiplied with other multipliers until it reaches the final equation that gets all of them together. So 0.4 results in 1.4. But if you were to have two stats at 0.2, you would get 1.2 squared instead of 1.2 plus 1.2, or plus 0.2, which is 1.44. That is 4% more than just having it on one stat, meaning you want to split up your stats as much as you can without focusing them onto one number. Even though caveman brain, big number, no big number, spread number. Got it? Great. So, the optimal stat allocation for collector crystal would be for 2 stacks of purity, 2 purity, 2 focus, 3 shape, 2 and 1, because it can either be 2 collection, 1 size, or 2 size, 1 collection. They're the same multiplier. This split gets you a perfect collector crystal to collect the most amount of starlight. And in creative mode, they just cheat and give you perfect. It's so annoying. They couldn't have done the math themselves. So now there's a cheated crystal with 1 too many stats. Oh, 3 too many stats. That's a 13 total. It should be 10 total. And I'm now mad. But going on to rituals, purity and focus both equally affect the range and the effect, but the range stat and the effect stat don't affect their respective categories equally. The range, at max for 2 slots, only gives 20% more range because it's a multiplier of 0.1. The effect slot gives you 0.6 because it's 2 0.3s. Durability for tools is just the durability stat gives you more, the size stat gives you less, effectiveness, efficiency gives you more, shape stat gives you less. There can only be 4 total. Wait, no. I think they lie to you in the creative menu. Or they lie to you in the spreadsheet. I don't know what that. Why did I look up that? I should be looking up. I forgot what I was going to say. But either way, the tools are just generally worthless. I wouldn't use them in survival. Even though they dig a big area, even though they do all this cool stuff, it's just so expensive. I just want a diamond AIoT. Please help Peck. Update Actually Editions. I cannot wait even longer. And the lenses, for each bit of size stat, you get 2 more lenses. For the purity stat, you transfer 1/6 of the starlight stream going in it more. I think if you have 2 purity, it transfers the whole thing. And the shape lens, it gives you, surprise, surprise, a better lens effect. Let's just say regeneration. If you had a regeneration lens, it would be slightly more powerful going through a shape one. And the rendering is a little buggy, but that is it for min-maxing crystals. If you want your crystals to be perfect, then follow this guide. And if you want to support me, like the video. Do it now. I don't have any subscribers. I cannot lose any for saying this. Also, like the video. You know what? Just ring the bell. In fact, no. Give me money. This is just robbery now. This is just a robbery. Give me money. Okay? Okay. Yeah.